A long-awaited report from the Dutch Safety Board on the fate of the MH17 airliner was one of the major media events of the week across the world. Some 15 months after the plane went down whilst flying over territory in East Ukraine occupied by Russian-backed militants, many hoped that finally we would have some definitive answers as to who shot down the jet and how they did it. In fact, we got something a little less than that. Here on the Press Review, we'll consider one reaction to the Dutch investigation, which comes from the Bloomberg editorial board. They tell us, to the families of the 298 passengers who died over Ukraine on Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 more than a year ago, a long-awaited Dutch investigation into the cause of the crash must be satisfying and frustrating in equal measure. The report confirms that the plane was shot down by a Russian-built surface-to-air missile, as long suspected, but not by whom or from exactly where. So the report does have its shortcomings, but according to Bloomberg, it is still much better than a report which was released by the Russians on the same day. That dossier came from the state-backed manufacturer of the Buk missile, which is widely believed to have brought down MH17. They said that it wasn't a Buk which hit MH17, but another type of missile which is no longer in Russia's arsenal. Bloomberg said that such claims are not to be believed. Equally, however, they are critical of the official line being taken in Kiev. They write, Ukrainian officials, meanwhile, go too far the other way. They claim that the missiles were fired not only from rebel-held territory, but in, quote, a planned operation of the Russian special services. There is as yet no evidence to support this. The government's time would be better spent answering the report's criticism that it failed to close the skies over eastern Ukraine to civilian air traffic, even though 16 military planes and helicopters were shot down before MH17. So, neither the Russian side or the Ukrainians come out of this with their reputations intact. Meanwhile, if we are to receive more clarity as to who was behind the downing of MH17, we'll have to wait for the results of a Dutch criminal investigation. Something which, at least for Bloomberg, is cause for hope. The news outlet writes, the meticulous nature of the Dutch inquiries into both what happened and who's responsible inspires confidence in the findings. This is the value of due process. Russia's investigation is simply an attempt to undermine that confidence and should be seen for what it is. So, in the end, the Dutch Safety Board report seems to have provoked an ambiguous reaction. Its findings come with the credibility of a Western institution, but don't add much new information to what many already believed. The criminal investigation may tell us more, but it's an open question as to whether those findings will really carry much influence, when it seems that most people, and many Western governments, have already made up their mind as to who shot down MH17. That's all we have time for today. Join us again tomorrow for another press review. In Kiev, this is Ukraine Today.